Okay, so I don't have any requests. So if you're requesting to come on, come on. Otherwise, we're just gonna run into it. Talking about this King Jeff podcast and us laying the foundation that's empowering the community. We're looking at 7 key areas to validate if something is like stable and something that we can build upon, or if it's not. Every single community and every single individual have 7 key areas that they absolutely have to consider as they grow older. Children have their own commitments and their own responsibilities of growth. Adults have their things. When you're a child, you think as a child, you do as a child. But when you become a adult, you put away childish things. Fun and enjoyment isn't a child thing. Everyone's supposed to do that from beginning to end. Okay, from childhood to adulthood. So that's not what we're talking about. But the seriousness that life requires, it's mandatory that the adults dwell there. Take care of business more than you take care of pleasure. And that's the problem with uh, many communities in our nation. Far too many people and far too many communities underperform, because they just don't know any better. I have to say that because they don't know any better. Cuzzo, let's take Pahokee. Compare Pahokee to Palm Beach. Since you're here, compare Palm Beach. Pahokee is in Palm Beach, Florida. Pahokee has in Belgrade has some of the most talented people in the whole state, and not just sports, academics, capability. But when you look at the socioeconomic decline or gap between the Palm Beach, the East Palm Beach, and then that West Palm Beach County, it's a major drop off. And although the people are gifted and they're talented and very capable, the culture there enabled underperformance. So I never lived there, but my people are from there. I went there quite a bit as a kid. Um, I can't swear by too many things, but I just know that all communities that are performing in certain ways, they have like characteristics. The traits are pretty much the same. Not always the same, but in these 7 key areas that I'm discussing, they're usually the same. Thriving communities, they have these things in order. Underperforming communities, they do not have these things in order. The priorities are different. So that's all I'm saying. Underperforming communities, they have a lot of the same traits. There's a reason, a scientific reason for why they're underperforming. Some things, obviously, it's not their fault, especially those who inherit that level of socioeconomics, or that they're young and then they grow into it. But as they're older, like, you put away childish things when you're a child. It's not your fault when you're a child. The fact that it consists as an adult, well, then that's your problem. Well, it's not your fault that it occurred, but you have to take some responsibility as adults in allowing the culture to stay in that slack place. That's why some people move. They try to overturn negative cultures, negative practices, and when the general population doesn't buy in or subscribe to those productive traits or those productive practices, the people who tried and wanted the best for it and they love their community, they love their land, they just say, you know what, I want better for myself, and I tried my best to improve the situation, but they see that it's like they're like hitting your head on a wall, and they decide to move oftentimes. So that's not what we want. We want to overturn the culture so that we make our communities good again. Why are our communities underperforming? That's something that can be turned around. And that's what this podcast is addressing. How can we empower our communities and empower our citizens to help themselves become productive? And that's what this whole show is about. Relationships, business partnerships, community development. Communities are made of individuals. So it's the responsibility of the individuals to set the tone for what's culturally acceptable. And we believe that this platform is going to allow people to find one another, much like a Match.com or Facebook and those type of things. They allow people who wouldn't normally be in each other's parameters to make contact, to network. Folks in California meet someone in Arizona, someone in Washington, Seattle, Washington, meet someone in Florida, New York, Wyoming, So this, hopefully we're going to close the gap and allow individuals in their own particular places to find out who they are as well. So all of that is going to take place, and we're expecting that to happen. So since relationships, as I do some my social media research, and from the time that I've exited college and entered into the activist field, like the social organizations and trying to shape and give back and contribute to the community, I've done my research, and I found that relationships, social health, social interaction is like paramount amongst people. Most people do not like to isolate, unfortunately, but many do without even knowing it. Sorry about that. But many do without even knowing it. So relationships, most men want women. However, not all men understand what that means. Brother, are you prepared to be the provider? Brother, are you prepared to be the priest? Brother, are you prepared to be the protector? Are you prepared to be a father, a husband, a community member? Are you able to protect? So now that's what this community, that's what this podcast and this community effort is for. We're bringing integrity back to the nation. We're opening our doors. We're opening our doors, inviting the community in. We're partnering with those who are neighbors, friends. We're telling people to get involved with what's going on in their community. Don't allow the elements to drive you. Drive the elements. So, as we talk about relationships, business partnerships, community development, the first pillar that we hang our hat on, like in this organization, we're going to have to validate you. If you come on the King Jeff podcast, we're not going to browbeat you. This is not what this is for. We come in love, and we're wanting to pour in and strengthen you, empower you to go forth and do great things, great and mighty things. And it's logical that you can get more done with more than you can with less. 5 people can get more work done than 1 person. As well, 10 can outdo 5. So we want partnerships. It's quite scientific to understand that. Pretty simple. So now, let's talk relationships. If you're going to get linked up with someone in here, let's say a woman calls in and she's looking to meet someone and she's open to that relationship. And I'm asking questions about, who are you? What are you about? What are you interested in? What are you willing to give? What are your expectations for others? All that is all well and good. That's straight personal. Every individual has the right to say and believe and want what they want. However, there are certain principles that every single person will have that's that's similar. That's similar in, are you healthy or are you well? So now, let's say that a gentleman calls in and he or woman, and they call in and they want to meet someone. Well, the question of how healthy are you? That's something that we absolutely have to answer before someone knows if they want to be with you or not. You can mention your salary. You can mention your story, your past, your successes, your strengths, but is that is that alone good enough? And most likely alone it is not. You can have all of those things. You see celebrities have those things all the time, but you see them in and out of marriages, in and out of relationships. Children over here, you see some of the ideologies that they practice and that they preach, and it's like, wow, you can't build a strong foundation on that television unreal philosophy. Those things are good for television, but oftentimes those aren't things that's sustainable. It can't sustain a community. So let's talk wellness. Are you healthy individual if you want to meet this guy? Spiritually, where are you? Are you spiritually sound? And now, I'm not taking spirituality, I'm talking to the nation. I'm not just talking to the Christian community. I'm not just talking to anyone of any faith, okay? I'm talking to the world, everyone who is out there. People of different faiths, different beliefs. So, spiritually, where are you? You have to come on and allow us to test where you are. In terms of, like, do you have a spiritual platform? Are you a 1%er? Do you not believe in anything? Are you atheist? Are you agnostic? Are you whatever it is that you are? Can you agree with somebody else on the other end, or does someone agree with you? And can you behave in a healthy way with each other? So that's the question. Do you both believe? Is a Christian that's a Christian that meets another Christian, does that mean that they're going to automatically agree? No, you see Christians divorcing all the time. You see Christians having children out of wedlock. Adultery was one of the commandments that followed over and carried over into the New Testament. Like, don't be adulterous. Those are some of the things that one of the 6 commandments that crossed over into the New Testament as well. So, like I said, we're not just speaking to Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, whatever. We're talking to everybody. Come here and let us know. You'd almost have to be a jihadist for us to say, no, we can't endorse you. Because that's what we're doing. We're endorsing you. You come on to this show, we're sending your information all around the world and around, especially in America, so that individuals can link up to you. And if you're a jihadist, meaning that you're fighting this holy war and you're, harming people and you're hurting them because they don't believe what you believe, we can't endorse you. We can't endorse you. But if you're spiritually healthy or you have you're in a healthy place, even if you're agnostic or atheist, does your belief hinder other people? It doesn't. So do you hate on other people because of what they believe? No? Okay, so then let's talk. It's okay. You can still be a person that can contribute to this natural society that we live in. And that's all I'm talking about. This show is about that. I'm a preach because I'm a believer. I believe what I believe, but it's okay for you to believe what you believe. Okay, I'm not preaching at you. I'm just sharing my thoughts as well. So if you come on, we're going to validate that you're sincere, that you're a person of integrity. You say you're a believer, but you do everything that believers don't do. Like you say you're a Muslim, but you do everything that Muslims don't do. You don't commit or subscribe to any of the ideas that you say that you are about. That means you're a hypocrite, or just like stop claiming the title if you're not walking in the motion. Like if you're not walking in it, don't claim it. And if you are that type of person who say you're something, but you have no receipts to prove it, then you're not that person that we're endorsing. We don't recommend a woman taking you as their husband, their head, their leader of the family, and you're an inconsistent person. No, it's time out for that. And we're getting the road straight to on the number of people who are accepting these inconsistent people, so desperate or whatever, or fail for the game that you've committed to someone who's inconsistent, and now you're entangled with that person. That makes for a difficult, challenging life, and I understand it. So that's the spiritual piece. Emotional. Where you at? The emotional piece. I'm sorry. So sorry. The emotional piece. Where are you emotionally? Can you handle yourself and stay stable under challenging times? Or do you just flee when things are not as you want them to be? You can't be weak. Be a man of integrity. Mentally, are you intelligent? Do you understand the real things that's going out in the world? Can you commit and can you commit to something and stick with it even when it's not looking like it's going to manifest? Physically, I'm struggling a little bit physically, but physically, because I'm sitting down and writing all the time. But are you physically healthy? Take care of yourself. Maintain your functional health. Be an example of those who are following you. Make healthiness a practice. You can't function at your highest capacity if you're unhealthy. And that's the way life is. If you're going to compete, you have to be able to perform at your height. Getting married or getting involved and then becoming physically unhealthy. We understand the challenge of babies and just age and busyness. But you still just have to practice the lifestyle. Definitely not being shallow. Things change as you age, and that's understandable. But at least practice the lifestyle to maintain your functionality. Being able to take care of yourself, do for yourself for as long as you're on the earth. That's the position you want to be. You don't ever want to be in that position, if you can avoid it, to be dependent upon other people, to lose your functionality. That's not the way. So if you have a man who's spiritually sound, emotionally sound in situations. He's mentally sound. He understands and he has the receipts to show that he has good understanding. He's physically sound. He has a lifestyle of healthiness, or he's willing to, get back on the good foot, then he's okay. And socially, how does this person interact with other people? Is he a healthy person or is he not? Most people are, portraits of their upbringing. Most people are portraits of their upbringing. If they've seen behaviors and they were taught as right when they were children, it's very likely that they will perpetuate that same action unless they made a clear conscious choice and decision to assure that that will not manifest. And when you find people like that who did not like what they saw growing up and they vowed to not be that thing, well, then you have something. Those people are oftentimes the overcomers. They're the ones who are they're the overcomers who have been so impacted, by it, whatever it was. It could have been positive, it could have been negative, but whatever it was, there was an interference within themselves. They clearly decided that I'm not going to let that happen, and that is that interference. The ebb and flow was just moving forward, moving along culturally until that person decided I'm not going to do that anymore. So while the culture was teaching this as right, and then they decided, no, I'm not going to let that happen anymore. And there's the interference. So that cultural norm was broken in their life. So that's what it looks like when they say, overcome generational curses. And rather everything's not a generational curse, but if you have things that are perpetual and you see it as that, it's going to take intentionality to change that. So if you find a man or woman who's healthy in all of those 5 areas, then those are the type of people that we're going to be endorsing. So we don't just want to know about how wealthy you are or how successful you are or how good you look. We want to show us receipts where you've interacted very well with other people and now you're in a position to be accepted as someone's spouse, someone's business partner, someone's community liaison. Okay? So it's 9:24 right now. Cuz, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. I don't see anyone else coming in, and it's going to have to get better in the future. I do believe that. Let me give it a few more minutes to at least 9:30 and just see if someone comes on. Come on, my people. Where you at? But I guess the more we just make videos and show and share, the more we're going to get out there. So our 7 pillars that we are focusing on to validate you, to make sure you're a good, stable person that we can endorse on the King Jeff podcast for a relationship. You're looking for love? Well, come through us. We can make sure that at least we can make sure that you're on good ground or that the person is on good ground. You can come present yourself and we'll test you so that all those in social media land and in your area and around the country can make a decision and say, oh, I really like that guy or I really like that young lady. And then let them shoot their shot. They shoot their shot and then you make a determination on if you are receptive to their advance. And hopefully we'll be building some healthy relationships, some healthy marriages worldwide. That's what we want. So don't be scared. Come on, check us out. The community is going to be built one way or the other. Now, there are some social things. There are some family things that can be resolved. Like, even if you don't want to talk about your own personal stuff, your testimony is going to help free other people. They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. They were sharing what they went through to help others. This is a community effort. Okay, so when you call in to the call-in show, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, you can let us know. Are you calling about relationships? Are you calling about business? Or are you calling about community development and identifying a team that's going to help shape your community and improve the community? All right. So our 7 key areas that we're going to examine you on to validate if you're good ground for someone to connect with. Our first is health and wellness. We have to make sure you're healthy to make sure that we are building on a strong foundation. The second is, are you effectively educated? Are you educated in book smarts as well as natural smarts? Do you have street smarts? Do you have common sense? Are you conscious to the environment and how you're socialized in it? Is your education relevant to you existing in the society that you live? That's 2. Are you healthy? Are you effectively educated? The third pillar or thing is that we're going to examine you on is, are you a community member? Do you believe in contributing and coexisting in a prosperous community? Are you willing to help make that community prosperous? Do you have a community mindset, or do you just think about your own self and your own family? If you're that person that only thinks about you and your family, and you don't look back, you don't Sankofa, you don't try to help others come along, it's going to be hard to endorse you. So while you're a good person, possibly doing good things, and we're not going to deny you, we're not going to deny you. We just want to encourage you to get more involved, like care more about others and contribute to them. And it's not just about that. You're going to need them, possibly at some point. So you have to do your due diligence to make sure that you're doing the right things. Standing alone, being an island, that's not recommended. Because when you need a group to influence what the community is going to do, it's a quorum. Whoever has the power, that's who makes the decisions. You have to be a part of the group so that the group controls where the community goes. Got to be a part of it. Now, number 4 is accountability. The pillar of accountability. Do you swiftly fulfill your obligations? Do you swiftly fulfill your obligations? Are you accountable? Because there's a standard out there that says you have to do these things. Do you do those things quickly? Or are you a slothful person? Do you talk and you don't act? Are you successful in what you do? Because people out there seizing success. They're moving. They're seizing it. They're taking it. Are you one of those persons? Are you accountable to what it is that you say you do?
So if you're a person of accountability, you swiftly fulfill your obligations while being subject to the authority that's holding you to account. You have accountability. Then there you go. Like some pastors create their own churches and they have like no accountability. They don't answer to anyone. That's why they establish their own churches oftentimes. But I'm not just talking about that. That's why some people can't coach under other coaches. They hate to be told what to do, and they can't be told what to do. So they go create their own thing. And that's not everybody, because some coaches are so good that why would they sit under other people? The leader is the one who controls the tone. The leader is the one who controls the pace. So if you're a show enough exceptional performer and your coach is, your head coach is less than you, or the leader of the community, the leader of the community, or the pastor, or whoever, the husband, is slower than you, it's hard to sit under them. It's very hard to sit under them. Do it for a season, but I don't think that's a long-term plan for prosperity. You're going to be stifled. They're going to slow you down if you stay there. So in God's own time, you'll very likely be relocating. Stay hungry. Okay? So that's accountability. That's area 4. The next is legacy. You have to be about building your legacy on something solid. Like you're someone who thinks about others. You don't only think about your own self. You think about leaving something behind, not just for yourself. You want to leave something behind after you pass away, or after you leave a thing. Even if you retire, you want to leave the thing better than it was. You know, legacy. What are you willing to die for? Like it's something that you're willing to just like lay it on the line for. What am I contributing? So legacy is number 5. Economic development. You have an obligation to leave a line of a trail of financial intelligence. The best thing that you can do to contribute to yourself and your society is partner with others. Sankofa, reach back, bring others along, help out. But beyond that, I'm saying you absolutely have to consider, if you partner with someone, that expedites your growth. It speeds up your growth because you have far less risk, and the probability that you can be successful in surviving business is paramount. You know, it's much more probable that you're going to survive when you have other people and more resources to endure the early struggles of business. Now, the last key area is community protection. Community protection. You want to meet a person who's interested in protecting the community and the integrity of it. Rather they are inside of your social group or your cultural group, or outside of it, or outside threat. Either way, rather you're inside of the group or outside of the group, a threat is a threat. You want to meet and partner with individuals who have integrity and who are not afraid to deal with threats of any kind. Now, that's not implying aggression. That's just saying be accountable. Like, that's a cancer. Deal with it. Don't ignore it. Don't be afraid to confront it. Deal with it. It's a cancer. Inside of my home, there's some cancer going on. You want to take care of that cancer. Don't leave the house. Don't quit the family just because you have some struggles. Deal with it with the individuals who's in your house. Resolve it. So if you have someone outside of your house who is influencing, like coming against your house, deal with that as well. Rather it's society, a neighbor, or another cheater who's trying to come in and pull your spouse away, or a community of, let's say, law enforcement that's brutal against those of your kind. Even if it's, a cultural practice where drugs is known and widely accepted in your community. Drug dealing, drug violence, youth gangs, men being players, young ladies being, players, only focusing on athletics, suppressing intelligence, and those type of things. Like, those are negative things that we absolutely have to overcome. And we don't want that. So rather the threat is inside of your house or outside of your house. A threat is a threat. So we're hooking you up with people who are sound in those 7 key areas that I discussed. Those are our 7 pillars. So if you're looking for love, a personal relationship, if you're looking for community partners so that you can improve the culture and instill this royal culture position that we're talking about, or if you're looking for business partners to share the risk and the reward so that you can leave a legacy of prosperity, then this is the place for you to call. Well, I appreciate you guys looking on. Please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate you. I love you guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah.